Good morning, everyone. When you join me live, say hello. If you're watching on the replay, let me know that as well. Welcome and happy Wednesday morning. So, before we start getting to dance with our egos and making peace with our egos so we can step into our highest, most confident version of ourselves, I have to tell you a little story. So, as you all know, I'm a high performance coach, and high performance is really important to me personally because I feel like it's really important to live by example. And I get extremely distracted very easily. So I have to save myself from myself. What does that mean, Lindsay? What are you trying to tell me? Well, what that means is that I have my phone set up in a certain way so that when I'm working at my desk, I don't get distracted by my phone. So I have certain apps that close down. And I forgot that I just recently set up this new app to facilitate that. And so when I went to set up the live on my phone, I couldn't get into Facebook because I had set this app up to prevent me from going on Facebook because I have all these apps that I don't go on in my work period. Excuse me. So I'm panicking like a crazy woman. I'm trying to get it set up on my computer and it's not setting up on my computer. And then I deleted the app so that we could talk today. So welcome, everyone. I hope you're having a fantabulous day. So as we go through our discussion today, I encourage that you comment, that you question, that you connect to me as much as possible throughout this video, because the more you do, the more present you're going to be and the more that you're going to get out of it. And this is your opportunity to ask me the questions, get a little bit of free coaching. And why not, right? Like I said, being a high performance coach, I have to be extremely organized to save me from myself. But if universe wants me to talk about something that needs to be shared with whoever is watching, we do that as well. Not everything is 100% scripted. So again, welcome to our wonderful fun lives that we have every Wednesday. And I'm so happy that you're here because I'm really excited to talk about this conversation, how to dance with your ego and how to master yourself from within. I think ego is glorious. I think fear is fantastic. Now, if you're probably like, ugh, what is she talking about? What was in her coffee this morning? Why is ego wonderful? Why is fear fantastic? How crazy. I would love for you to step into this journey with me today, and let's change your perspective on that. So I would love for you to share in the comments, what does ego mean to you? What is when someone says the word ego, what does that mean? And for your ego, what does it say to you? How does your ego conversate with you? So I'll give you a quick second, have some agua, and feel free to comment, because, and I will share this with you as you're thinking of your answers. So ego can have different meanings depending on which context it is used. But in general, our ego refers to person's sense of self or identity, and it can be identified as the individual's perception of their own importance, abilities, achievements. In psychology, ego is a concept that was introduced by Sigmund Freud as one of the three parts of the psyche. So along with the ID and the superego. According to Freud, the ego mediates between the conflicting demands of the ID, the primitive, the instinctual part of the psyche, and the superego, which is the internalized moral standards of society. And the ego is responsible for balancing these competitive forces, finding ways to satisfy the identity, the ID's desires within constraints of the superego's moral code. And you're probably like, what are you talking about? In layman's terms, in everyday language, ego can be referred to as a person's self-importance or self-centeredness, right? That's probably what clicks for you a little bit more. That's how we've heard about ego before. In a negative, in a critical sense. So for example, Someone who's describing as having a big ego is seen as like arrogant or really self-focused in a negative way. So let's imagine this first. Imagine that you are an individual with your own thoughts and feelings. Just imagine. You know that you are different from everyone else. That's your ego. That's your ego self speaking to you. Maybe you have the idea of an ego, which is like the little angel and the devil on your shoulder, or that voice inside your head, or the feelings inside you that makes you feel like garbage, that says, well, you can't do this. You've tried doing this before and you failed at it. What makes you think you could do it again? That's your ego. I don't know why my ego has a little bit of a New York accent, but it does. And that's what makes it spicy, and I like it. So in spiritual context, in that perspective, ego can refer to the part of the self that is concerned with personal identity or separateness. This is a big word I want to focus on today. Separateness from others in the world. And this is seen as a barrier to spiritual growth and enlightenment. And I know y'all are spiritual beings, are human beings having a human experience. And you are doing this and also having businesses as well. So there's a lot of conflicting feelings, emotions, situations going on in your life that you're faced with, because you are this powerful spiritual being that's a spark of the universe. But at the same time, how do I exist in this world and exist in this life knowing this, but I have to be super grounded and I have to do all these third dimensional things, like interact with this tool called money. So, in accordance with spiritual traditions, ego is the source of suffering and illusion. And it leads us to identify too closely with our individual self and ignore the interconnectedness that we have with all beings and the universe, essentially. And it creates these feelings on one side of pride, attachment, materialness, fear, and prevents us from experiencing what we all strive for, harmony, right? I'm not going to say balance. I'm going to say harmony, because balance is something that's always balancing. It's an action word. I don't think it's something that you experience for long periods of time. So maybe you're asking, and please feel free to ask questions as we go through, why would ego want us to feel separate when I know, like I know, way deep down to my spiritual toe hairs, I know I'm connected with everything and all the things because I'm a spark of the universe. So this separateness is actually an opportunity to look at it from a different place. And though the ego may want you to feel separate, to maintain a sense of control or stability in your life. So by creating this strong individual identity around separateness, the ego makes you feel like you're more in control, makes you feel more in control of your environment and your relationships with others, especially when we feel uncertain, when we feel threatened. And so another reason why ego might want us to feel separate is to protect us. This is my favorite part. Protect us from feeling vulnerable or exposed. Because when we believe that we're separate from individuals, we're less likely to feel the pain of criticism, rejection, failure. And then what do? We're less likely to take more risks. We're less likely to jump outside of our comfort zone. And we know change is so important. And we know being outside of our comfort zone is where all the deliciousness happens in our life. Being in the unknown is where all the things that you desire will come to you. Being in the known space, if you're working really hard in I know you are, not if. You are working really hard in your business. You're working on yourself. And being involved in this battle with your ego and all the things that you have to do, but you're the spiritual being, having a human experience, there's so much conflict, so it's understandable that your brain is going to rationalize why you feel this way, and you're going to be like, ego. It's ego why I feel disconnected. But ego is your opportunity to feel connected. Why? Okay, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you hash through this. How do you know that darkness exists? Because there's no light, right? Because the absence of light. How do you know there's positive? Because there's negative, right? So this is about the law of polarity. So this is a principle in the field of metaphysics and spirituality that states everything in the universe has an opposite. And this law suggests that every concept or phenomenon can be understood in this terms of polar opposite. That these opportunities are actually two aspects of the same thing. So for example, hot and cold, similarly light and dark, like I mentioned before. In this way, every quality, idea, or emotion has its opposite because, ready? One can't live without the other. One cannot live without the other. So, your ego has to stay with you. This whole idea, this whole concept that I cannot stand is when people talk about how to fight with your ego, how to battle your ego, how to kill your ego, how to crush your ego. You can't. It is within you and it will always be within you. This is true. This is factoids. Factoids like Altoids. It's strong. You might not like it, but it's the truth. You cannot exist without your ego. And I would love for you to open your mind. Be open, be coachable in this moment. Everything that you've known before, just take it out of your brain, put it on a shelf for now. Let's put it on a shelf. You can't fight against something that you can't fight against. And fighting doesn't lead. Fighting for, in the big grand word of it, fighting against violence, fighting against cancer, fighting against AIDS. Even Mother Teresa said she was invited to a protest on fighting against war. She's like, invite me to a pro-peace contest and I'll be there. Because it's where you're putting your attention. It's where you're putting your energy on. And if you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change. What's the difference between you and the highest version of yourself? Is the way that you look at things. That is it. That is the secret sauce. There's $10,000 coaching right there for you. Change the way that you look at things, and the things that you look at change. And within that change, you can take action. If you change your perspective on things in a positive light, in a more optimistic light, it becomes much easier to manage, much easier to take those baby steps or even big steps forward to expand yourself and expand your business and get over your insecurities of finances and making the monies. Yes, absolutely. So what do you do? What do you do with your ego that's never going to leave you? It's never going to go away. It's always going to pester you. It's always going to put you down. Okay, let's just take a moment and take a nice deep breath. Nice deep inhale. Slow, long exhale. Give it a sigh. Just get it out. Maybe one more. And surrender to fighting. Your energy is so precious. For you to be fighting against your ego every day, is it not exhausting? You don't want to fight with yourself. You're trying to build yourself up. Why would you be fighting with yourself all the time? No more. Surrender. No more fighting with yourself. No more. Embrace your ego. Because it's you. It's very interesting with my clients. We always go through themes, and this week it's all about ego. So one of my clients, amazing, brilliant businessman, talking about his ego. And I said, all the things that I'm saying to you today. And I'm going to give you the tools that I gave him as well to be able to look at it from a different perspective. Changing the way that you look at things so the things that you look at change. So, with your ego. You know, you are a spark of the universe. You are a spark of the universe. And in that spark of the universe, there is light, there is dark, there is balance, there is polarity. Within yourself, as this person watching this video here and now with me, your ego will never go away. We know this now. It's never going to go away. Have you ever sat down and talked to your ego before? Have you ever sat down and had a conversation with your ego and just been like, hey, what are you shouting about? Why are you putting me down so much? And what you'll find is when you have a conversation with your ego and ask, what are they doing? They're protecting you. For example, let's say you have to go and meet somebody who makes you feel a little intimidated, but who's going to help you in your journey of life, expand your business, so on and so forth. But you're nervous, you're intimidated, and your ego tells you, you probably shouldn't meet with them because, and then they start throwing up some imposter syndrome ideas on you that you've accepted in the past. And then you start crumbling a little bit and being like, oh yeah, ego, yeah, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe I shouldn't talk to them. And if I do talk to them, I'm going to be really nervous and I'm going to sound like I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm going to look like an idiot. That's your ego. What is your ego doing here? Your ego is protecting you from experiencing pain. That's what your ego does. Excuse me. Some of you might not want to hear how easy it gets to be. We love to complicate things, especially as the A-type OCD individual perfectionist business individual that you are. But Lindsay, it's got to be harder. It can't be this simple. It can't be this easy. It absolutely can be. Your ego is trying to protect you. And instead of ignoring your ego, yelling at your ego, trying to push your ego in a closet, close the doors, walk away, pretending your ego doesn't exist, fully accept it. Fully accept it. Your ego is not going anywhere, and start talking to it. And so when it poo-poos on you, and it shits on you, and it shits on your ideas, and tells you that you are less than, and you cannot do this thing that you want to do, ask why. Why are you telling me these things? And the more and more that you have a conversation with your ego, what you're going to realize is like, oh, I had this experience a long time ago where I went out of my comfort zone and I talked to somebody who was really intimidating and they did shut me down and they did make me feel this way. Or maybe if you look into your past, you delve into your past and you realize, well, every time that I went and I met someone who's a little bit intimidating, it was always okay. It was always okay. Go the distance. Go the distance with your fears, frustrations, and anxieties, and these things that your ego is trying to tell you. Go the distance. Have conversations with it. Find out the truth. And when you find out the truth of what's really going on, you then regain your power. You bring your power back to you, and you have the confidence to continue forward. It gets to be that simple. How do you dance with your ego? You choose to dance with your ego. You ask for it to dance. Okay, ego, let's dance. What do you need to tell me today? Why am I having these insecurities? I have insecurities all the time. I have to talk to myself about. Why are we insecure about this moment here? What are we doing that's big? What are we doing that's different? 9 times out of 10, it's things that I've done before and had a couple of instances in the past that have been a little uneasy, a little uncomfortable, and I took it more personally than it needed to be. And when you start looking at things from this perspective, what you realize is that you're looking at the world with a different color lens, with an illusion colored lens. And this illusion colored lens is tainting, toxifying your reality. Change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change. Love that quote. Dr. Wayne Dyer. Right? So powerful. So let me know if you have any questions, comments, queries. What are some things that your ego just like jumps on you about? Gets at you? What do you feel trapped at with your ego? Share it here. Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out. I really do believe that the more and more that you fall in love with yourself, that you build yourself up, like you know you can do it, no matter what it is, in that baby step fashion, you will get there. Belief and faith, trust, and pixie dust in yourself is the most powerful muscle that you can constantly be flexing. If you are around people that poo-poo on you, that shit on you, you need to get away from those people. You must. Yourself depends on it. You, yourself, and you depends on it. Life is too short to beat yourself up. And you notice that the less you beat yourself up, the less others will have the ability to beat yourself up as well. Hi, Paul. I believe in, yes, doubt myself easily. Okay, that's excellent. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. How can you change that? How can you change that thought? How can you look at it differently? Can you look at it from a perspective of maybe I've flexed the muscle of doubting myself consistently in the past, so therefore doubting myself has become a habit. Maybe that's a way that you can look at it to shift it. Maybe that's a way that you can look at it to shift it. Maybe you've come up with your own answer already of how to shift it. Whatever your answer is to that question, how can you look at it from a different perspective? That's the answer that works for you. We fail to realize that we have more answers than we think. We're very externally motivated. Extrinsically motivated. All the outside things. We need outside sources for validation. Inside source for validation. Ooh, not strong enough for me. But you flex the muscle of creating a habit that extrinsic motivators are the answer. But it's not. It's not. It doesn't have a strong foundation. It's not going to carry you to the end of time. It might carry you a day. You know how someone gives you a really nice compliment and you say something like, "Oh, I really needed to hear that today. You made my day." Why can't you make your own day? Why did you have to wait for that compliment to make your day? Paul, what did you say? By accepting it and move forward. By accepting it, absolutely. But it doesn't serve you anymore. Maybe it's like an old sweater that you love, but it's got so many holes in it. And yes, it served you. Doubting yourself served you, saved you maybe. But this old sweater of self-doubt, it's actually now preventing you from moving forward in your life. So you got to take it off. You got to put it in a bag and you got to throw it in the garbage. Visualization with stuff like that is really powerful. Or maybe you have a burning ceremony. Imagine in your mind's eye a little nice fire in a beautiful landscape, and you take off the self-doubt sweater and you crumple it up and you say, "Thank you for giving me whatever you needed to give me, but I don't need it anymore." And you throw it in the fire and you watch it burn away. Play. Play with building yourself up. Play with making yourself stronger. Because it's funner, you'll feel good, and if you feel good, you're getting a reward, so then you'll want to do it again. Well, thank you so much. Let me know if you have any other questions, comments, queries. Einstein. I saw a video about him yesterday. A gentleman was talking about how he had a copper deficiency, and that's why he passed away. And there's lots of signs for copper deficiency, like getting gray hair at a young age. Anyway, I'm not going to delve into that conversation because I don't know all the details. I don't want to scare anybody. Alrighty, my friends. I hope this conversation has served you well. And every conversation we have, my goal is for you to have and take away at least one insight. One insight that you can take away and that you can take action on. The little baby micro steps make monumental change, more change than you could ever imagine. All you have to do is take action. So we're these spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And as such, when we're spiritual beings, we think of the things that we want and we need, they just pop up. But being in this human body, well, there's divine timing and time itself. So it might seem that it takes a little bit longer to get what you want. And what actually takes much more time to get what you want is you getting in the way of it coming directly to you. So stepping forward and constantly building yourself up a little bit every day and knowing, oh, you deserve this and it's coming. It's actually already here. Most things are actually already here, but you just can't see it yet. And so once you start believing and have that faith, trust, and pixie dust, you actually start seeing the opportunities that were already there. It's like you step into a different multiverse level of the verse, little bit of a different dimension, because you're vibrating at a higher level. Does that make sense, or does that turn your brain to mush mush? That's okay. Again, one insight is all you need from our conversations every week. All right? So if you have nothing else to say, nothing else to add, I believe in the entirety of you. And I can't wait until you do too. Even just a little bit every day. Alrighty? You take care, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.